In the early hours of the day, activity at Subic Bay International Airport took on an unusual character. What began as a routine morning for airport personnel and local travelers quickly shifted into something far more significant. Large aircraft unfamiliar to many civilian observers began appearing on the runway one after another. These were not ordinary commercial flights carrying tourists or business passengers. Instead, they were chartered planes transporting thousands of United States military personnel into the Philippines. The arrival immediately drew attention. Airport workers noticed the scale of the operation, while local residents observed increased security and coordination around the terminal area. Word spread rapidly through social media and local conversations. A major troop movement was underway. The aircraft involved in the operation were operated by Omni Air International, a company known for providing long-range charter services, particularly in support of military logistics. These flights were part of a carefully planned deployment that unfolded over several days rather than a single mass arrival. This phased approach allowed the movement of personnel to proceed smoothly without overwhelming airport operations or local infrastructure. Each aircraft carried large groups of service members along with their personal gear and mission-essential equipment. The flights followed pre-arranged schedules coordinated well in advance between U.S. military planners and Philippine authorities. Upon landing, the aircraft taxied to designated areas of the airport, away from regular commercial passenger terminals. Security teams were already in place. U.S. military coordinators worked alongside Philippine officials to guide arriving personnel through controlled zones prepared specifically for this operation. From disembarkation to transport onward from the airport, every step followed strict procedures designed to ensure safety, efficiency, and order. Despite the size of the deployment, the atmosphere at Subic Bay International Airport remained calm. There was no panic, no confusion, and no disruption to civilian flights. Regular commercial air traffic continued as scheduled, a testament to the airport's ability to handle large-scale operations without affecting everyday travel. For many observers, the most striking aspect of the arrival was not just the number of troops, but how seamlessly the entire process unfolded. This was not an emergency response or a sudden reaction to a crisis. Instead, it reflected months of preparation and coordination under long-standing defense agreements between the United States and the Philippines. The Philippine government was quick to address public curiosity. Officials emphasized that the troop arrival was fully authorized and conducted through official bilateral channels. They reiterated that such deployments are a regular feature of defense cooperation between the two nations, which have shared military ties spanning decades. From the U.S. perspective, the use of chartered aircraft operated by Omni Air International illustrated a modern approach to global force mobility. Rather than relying solely on military-owned transport planes, the U.S. military frequently contracts civilian aviation companies to supplement its airlift capabilities. This strategy allows military aircraft to remain available for other operational requirements, while still ensuring rapid and large-scale troop movement. Omni Air International has long specialized in these types of missions. Its aircraft are configured for long-distance travel and are capable of transporting large numbers of passengers efficiently. For military planners, such contracted flights provide flexibility, reliability, and cost-effective logistics support. As the days progressed, additional aircraft continued to arrive according to plan. Each arrival followed the same carefully managed process, reinforcing the impression of a highly organized and deliberate deployment. Personnel were quickly moved from the airport to designated facilities, minimizing congestion and maintaining a low-profile presence outside secured areas. Subic Bay's selection as the entry point was no coincidence. The location offers strategic advantages, including a well-developed airport, deep water port facilities, and existing infrastructure capable of supporting large military movements. Historically, Subic Bay has played a significant role in regional security and logistics, making it a natural choice for such operations. Local reactions varied. Some residents expressed surprise at the scale of the arrival, while others viewed it as a familiar aspect of the long-standing relationship between the Philippines and the United States. Importantly, authorities stressed that the presence of foreign troops posed no threat to national security and was aligned with existing defense agreements. Defense analysts noted that the operation highlighted how modern military deployments differ from those of the past. Rather than dramatic or sudden shows of force, contemporary troop movements often emphasize coordination, discretion, and efficiency. The goal is to move personnel rapidly while maintaining stability and minimizing disruption to civilian life. As thousands of U.S. service members passed through Subic Bay International Airport, the Philippines once again found itself at the center of regional attention. While the deployment itself followed routine procedures, its scale and visibility underscored the depth of military cooperation between the two countries. This arrival marked only the beginning. Beyond the airport, the troops would participate in activities designed to strengthen interoperability, readiness, and coordination with Philippine forces. These efforts form part of a broader framework aimed at maintaining security and stability in an increasingly complex regional environment. For now, however, the focus remained on the airport, a place where careful planning, international cooperation, and modern logistics converged. The quiet efficiency of the operation spoke volumes, signaling not only preparedness but also the enduring strategic partnership between the United States and the Philippines. As the flow of arriving aircraft continued at Subic Bay International Airport, attention gradually shifted from the spectacle of troop arrivals to the deeper systems that made such an operation possible. Moving thousands of military personnel across the Pacific is not a simple task. It requires precise coordination, extensive planning, and seamless cooperation between multiple agencies, governments, and private contractors. At the center of this effort was a logistics framework designed to ensure that every phase of the deployment unfolded without disruption. Omni Air International's chartered flights were not operating independently. They were integrated into a broader deployment plan, developed by U.S. military logistics planners in close coordination with Philippine counterparts. Each flight followed a strict timetable. Arrival slots were carefully allocated to avoid interference with civilian air traffic. Ground handling teams were pre-positioned, and transportation assets were staged nearby to move personnel efficiently once they disembarked. This level of planning ensured that aircraft could land, unload, and depart without unnecessary delays. One of the defining features of modern military logistics is flexibility. Rather than relying exclusively on military airlift assets, the U.S. military increasingly incorporates civilian aviation providers into its transportation network. Companies like Omni Air International specialize in long-haul charter services, capable of moving large groups over intercontinental distances. This approach offers several advantages. First, it preserves military aircraft for missions that require specialized capabilities. Second, it allows deployments to scale up quickly when large numbers of personnel must be moved. Third, it reduces logistical bottlenecks by distributing transport responsibilities across multiple platforms. For the Philippine side, hosting such a deployment required careful preparation as well. Airport authorities coordinated with national defense officials to establish secure zones, traffic control measures, and communication channels. Philippine security personnel worked alongside U.S. military teams to manage access points and ensure compliance with agreed protocols. Despite the scale of the operation, officials emphasized transparency. Philippine government representatives reiterated that the deployment was conducted under existing defense frameworks and posed no risk to public safety. They stressed that all activities were planned, authorized, and monitored through official channels. Subic Bay's infrastructure played a crucial role in this process. The airport's capacity to handle wide-body aircraft, combined with its proximity to port facilities and major road networks, made it an ideal logistical hub. Decades of development and historical use as a military logistics center had left Subic Bay well-equipped for large-scale operations. Beyond the airport itself, coordination extended to transportation routes, temporary facilities, and support services. Buses, trucks, and support vehicles were positioned in advance to move arriving personnel to their next destinations. These movements were timed to avoid congestion and minimize visibility outside secured areas. From a strategic perspective, the deployment reflected broader trends in regional security cooperation. The United States and the Philippines have long maintained a defense relationship focused on mutual support, training, and readiness. Joint exercises and rotational deployments are key components of this partnership. Such activities are designed not only to improve tactical skills, but also to enhance interoperability, the ability of forces from different countries to operate together effectively. This requires familiarity with each other's procedures, communication systems, and command structures. Defense analysts observed that deployments of this nature send multiple signals. On one level, they demonstrate readiness and the ability to move forces rapidly across long distances. On another, they reinforce alliances and partnerships at a time when regional security dynamics are evolving. However, officials from both countries were careful to frame the deployment as routine rather than provocative. They emphasize that joint activities are conducted regularly and are defensive in nature. The focus, they noted, is on preparedness, humanitarian assistance capabilities, and regional stability. Public reaction continued to evolve as the days passed. Initial surprise among local residents gave way to curiosity and discussion. Social media posts and online videos captured aircraft landings and convoy movements, drawing attention both domestically and internationally. Authorities responded by providing reassurance. They clarified that civilian life was not affected, airport operations remained normal, and local communities faced no restrictions beyond standard security measures. The calm management of the situation helped prevent misinformation from spreading. From the U.S. military's standpoint, the deployment also served as a practical test of logistics systems. Moving thousands of personnel involves more than transportation. It includes planning for accommodation, medical support, supply distribution, and communication networks. Every arriving service member carried personal equipment, but additional supplies were transported separately to support operations once personnel reached their designated locations. This layered approach ensured that troops could integrate quickly into planned activities without delays. The use of civilian contractors like Omni Air International highlights a broader shift in how modern militaries operate. Rather than maintaining massive standing logistics fleets, many armed forces now rely on partnerships with private industry to supplement capabilities when needed. This model allows for efficiency and adaptability, particularly during large-scale movements that would otherwise strain military-only resources. It also reflects the interconnected nature of modern defense operations, where public and private sectors work closely together. As analysts examined the deployment, many pointed out that its success depended on trust and communication between partners. Years of joint planning, shared exercises, and established agreements made it possible to execute such an operation smoothly. For the Philippines, participation in these activities strengthens its defense posture while maintaining sovereignty and control over national territory. For the United States, it reinforces commitments to allies and partners in the region. By the end of the second phase of arrivals, the operation had become almost routine. Aircraft continued to land, personnel continued to move, and airport operations continued without disruption. What initially seemed extraordinary had settled into a steady rhythm of planned execution. Yet beyond the surface calm, the deployment carried deeper implications. It reflected how modern security cooperation operates quietly, efficiently, and deliberately, often away from headlines, but with significant strategic meaning. As the focus gradually shifted away from arrivals and toward the activities that would follow, it became clear that Subic Bay was not merely a transit point. It was a symbol of enduring cooperation and a platform for future engagement. The story, however, was far from over. The presence of thousands of U.S. personnel marked the beginning of a broader phase of interaction, training, and coordination that would continue beyond the airport gates. With the arrival phase largely complete, attention gradually shifted away from Subic Bay International Airport and toward the broader implications of the deployment. What had begun as a series of carefully scheduled aircraft landings now formed part of a larger narrative involving regional security, alliance management, and evolving military cooperation in the Asia-Pacific. The presence of thousands of U.S. military personnel in the Philippines was not an isolated event. Instead, it fit into a long-standing pattern of rotational deployments and joint activities designed to enhance readiness and coordination between allied forces. Over the years, such deployments have become more structured, predictable, and transparent, reflecting lessons learned from past operations. For defense planners, one of the primary objectives of these movements is interoperability. Modern military operations rarely involve a single nation acting alone. Instead, they require forces from multiple countries to operate together seamlessly. Achieving this level of coordination demands regular interaction, shared training, and familiarity with each other's procedures and systems. The Philippines plays a central role in this framework. Its geographic location places it at a crossroads of major sea lanes and regional security interests. As a result, cooperation with international partners is seen as a way to strengthen national defense capabilities while contributing to broader regional stability. Officials in Manila were careful to frame the deployment within this context. Government statements emphasized that all activities were conducted under existing agreements and in line with Philippine law. They reiterated that foreign troops were present temporarily and that Philippine authorities retained oversight throughout the process. From the U.S. perspective, the deployment demonstrated the ability to move forces quickly and efficiently across vast distances. The use of chartered aircraft operated by Omni Air International highlighted how modern militaries combine public resources with private sector capabilities to meet operational demands. This approach reflects a shift in military logistics philosophy. Rather than relying exclusively on organic assets, planners increasingly draw on contracted services to expand capacity when needed. This allows for rapid scaling without the long-term costs of maintaining large fleets that may remain idle during peacetime. Defense analysts noted that the smooth execution of the deployment sent a clear message about preparedness. Without dramatic announcements or visible displays of force, the operation quietly showcased the ability to coordinate complex movements across international boundaries. At the same time, officials avoided framing the deployment in confrontational terms. Public messaging emphasized routine cooperation, disaster response readiness, and training objectives. This careful communication aimed to reduce the risk of misinterpretation or escalation in an already sensitive regional environment. Local communities near Subic Bay gradually adjusted to the increased presence of military personnel. Businesses experienced modest increases in activity, while residents observed heightened security measures in certain areas. Overall, daily life continued largely unchanged, reinforcing official assurances that the deployment posed no disruption. Media coverage varied widely. Some outlets focused on the scale of the troop movement, while others highlighted historical ties between the United States and the Philippines. Analysts and commentators debated the strategic implications, placing the deployment within the broader context of regional power dynamics. For many observers, the most notable aspect was not what happened, but how it happened. The absence of chaos, controversy, or operational setbacks underscored the maturity of the bilateral relationship. Years of cooperation had produced systems capable of handling large-scale activities with minimal friction. Behind the scenes, planning continued for the next phases of engagement. Training exercises, coordination meetings, and joint activities were scheduled to build on the momentum created by the deployment. These efforts aimed to translate logistical success into operational effectiveness. The role of Subic Bay itself also drew renewed attention. Once a major hub of military activity, the area has evolved into a civilian and commercial center while retaining strategic significance. Its ability to support large deployments highlighted the value of maintaining dual-use infrastructure capable of serving both civilian and defense needs. As analysts assessed the operation, many pointed out that such deployments are increasingly shaped by lessons from past crises. Modern planners prioritize speed, coordination, and discretion, recognizing that effective logistics can be as important as combat capability. The use of contracted aviation services illustrated this point clearly. By integrating companies like Omni Air International into deployment plans, the military gained flexibility while reducing strain on its own resources. This model is likely to remain a key feature of future operations. From a broader perspective, the deployment underscored how alliances function in practice. Beyond formal agreements and public statements, alliances are sustained through repeated cooperation, shared experiences, and mutual trust. Each successful operation reinforces confidence and builds institutional knowledge. For the Philippines, participation in these activities supports national defense objectives while strengthening international partnerships. For the United States, it reaffirms commitments to allies and partners in a strategically important region. As the initial attention faded and operations moved beyond the airport, the significance of the deployment became clearer. It was not about a single event, aircraft type, or moment of surprise. It was about process, preparation, and partnership. In an era of rapidly changing security challenges, such quiet demonstrations of capability carry weight. They show that cooperation is not merely symbolic but operational, grounded in real-world planning and execution. By the time the last of the chartered aircraft had completed their missions, Subic Bay International Airport returned fully to its usual rhythm. The runways, terminals, and support facilities resumed their normal patterns, leaving little visible trace of the intense activity that had unfolded days earlier. Yet the impact of the deployment extended far beyond the airport's boundaries. It reinforced strategic ties, tested logistics systems, and demonstrated how modern military operations are conducted in a complex, interconnected world. Ultimately, the arrival of thousands of U.S. military personnel in the Philippines served as a reminder that security cooperation today often operates quietly, efficiently, and with careful attention to stability. In that sense, the operation achieved its objectives not through spectacle, but through precision and partnership.